Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the show where we like to talk about theme park stuff. I think, unfortunately, today the theme park stuff is aligning with some things that I don't really want to talk about, but they are relevant. If we ignored them as one of the websites that is growing in prominence in the theme park space and the YouTube channel that represents that website, well, I think we would be remiss. First of all, I want to say, Vash, culture, you're not in California, right? Just please confirm that for the audience.
No, not in California. Happy in Arizona, but man, hearts go out to everybody affected in Southern California, especially with all these, what you've been hearing on the news, these wildfires.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit crazy out there. I have not been fully updated this morning on I was doom scrolling, and I don't think there's a better word to describe the feeling of going through and going back and forth between anger and heartbreak, watching all of these icons burning down, and then seeing the ineptitude of the people who have been trusted with taking care of the situation. I'm not talking about the first responders. I'm talking about the politicians. I'm talking about the bureaucrats who refuse to do their job here. The first responders should be praised for going in there and putting their lives on the line. Culture, you doing all right this morning?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, California is in my past. The desert Southwest is my current, and my future is Tennessee. So, yeah, I'm well and away from a place that I loved so much in the Santa Monica area specifically, and Will Rogers Beach and Malibu and all of that. And then a little bit farther south, of course, unaffected by this would be the larger part of San Diego County, where I basically grew to be a man, I would say, in many ways. But I will say that it's a terrible tragedy. It is much of the blame can be placed on the ignorance of the people trying to push DEI and ESG, including the mayor of Los Angeles, Ms. Bass, who was a terrible choice by the electorate to put their faith in for this circumstance, making sure that the fire fighting capabilities were without an extra $17 million specifically.
17.6, if we're being very specific here.
Yeah.
Yep. And also, I believe 23 million to go over there to take care of the homeless population, and 17.6 taken out of the firefighting budget. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm not going to try to go too hard in the paint here. If you want my full opinions from a political standpoint, you can probably find them on X. The reason that we're going to be talking about this today is twofold. We're about to talk about this one. Universal Studios forced to shut down as Pacific Palisades fire ravaged Southern California. This by Marvin Montanaro. Here, our wonderful editor-in-chief at that park place. Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal City Walk announced an unexpected closure today as Southern California faces extreme fire conditions caused by the Palisades fires. The decision was prompted by strong winds, widespread power outages, and safety concerns for both staff and guests. Universal Studios Hollywood and City Walk will be closed today due to extreme wind and fire conditions. Universal says it will assess the situation and expects to reopen tomorrow. Now, this is Thursday here, and we can bring up the actual graphic from Universal. Here we go. The safety of our team members and our guests is our top priority. I do appreciate them making that very clear. The way that some theme parks have chosen to handle things like hurricanes have made this a little unclear in recent memory. Vash, looks like you got something you want to say there.
Yeah, so when this announcement was made, that was on Wednesday morning, as you said there, Jonas. The night before, Tuesday night, Universal Studios had lost power. So it really obviously inhibited its ability to operate throughout the night and well into the early morning hours. So that was a big driving force. Also, two team members definitely affected. The Palisades fire was a bit removed from Hollywood proper, about 20 miles or so to the west of Universal Studios. Hollywood is where the Palisades fire broke out. What was really concerning, though, was late last night, the Hollywood Hills went ablaze all of a sudden, and that really threatened Universal Studios proper. I believe it was about a mile away. So, and with these, almost hurricane force winds where you have 85-mile-an-hour wind gusts or 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts. The real concern was where that could go from then on. But and I think initially the operation of the Universal Studios Hollywood was definitely impacted, even if the Palisades fire was a little bit removed. But in direct path with the this Hollywood Hills fire, or the Sunset fire, I believe is what they're calling it, that was could have been particularly devastating.
Right. And I'm not, this is difficult because we want to talk about something that's serious, and I want to communicate the intensity of what's going on out there. This right here is a video of the Altadena McDonald right there. I'm actually going to mute it here, but the intensity of the wind and the fire at the same time. There have been reports of 80-mile-an-hour winds, and these embers, I've been hearing the word ember used to describe things that might be something more like the size of a golf ball here, traveling 3 miles into another area here. So it's not just that they're going to shut down for the day and magically everything is going to be fine here. The team members there at Universal need to be able to get their house in order to get their family out of there, hopefully get their pets out of there. This is the kind of thing where it's not just that you click off the lights and all of a sudden everybody's safe. People need the time to prepare to get out, because we're hearing reports of complete destruction of things that people have worked very hard to build for their entire lives, entire homes, entire neighborhoods being destroyed by fire, being threatened by fire here. So this is kind of terrifying here to me, to think of this much of a state being in danger, and so many things that people have treasured for a very long time just being gone.
Yeah, we're talking over 100,000 people have been given evacuation orders in this area. Thousands of acres have burned. We're talking the loss of thousands of structures and homes, some of those structures being 100 years old or more. It is tragic to see some of the devastation out there. We actually recently had some drone footage come out from the Palisades area where you have whole neighborhoods leveled to the ground. Homes that are probably, average about $4 million, just completely gone. And it's really, really, really sad to get closer to the Universal Studios aspect of this whole thing. You can see right here the Hollywood Hills fire breaking out. Again, this was only 200, 300 yards from Hollywood Boulevard proper, which obviously has the Grauman Chinese Theater and where Jimmy Kimmel actually films, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, all of those things. If you've been watching the Hollywood Backlit with Lou and you know these areas quite well. And but you can see right here gridlocked traffic as people tried to evacuate from this area, not really knowing what was actually going to happen with this particular fire right here, which was really sad to see. Even before then, though, the air quality was absolutely terrible. This was this was when the Palisades fire was really raging initially, and you can see just the amount of smoke. The building that you're seeing at the very bottom of your screen right there, that is Universal Studios Hollywood, is what you're seeing right there, which was pretty impactful. You can also see here, this is Courtyard Square, where I would
Back to the Future.
Normally I'd be talking about FanFest nights and how they're hiring actors and so forth for this area in order to put on Back to the Future like productions for FanFest nights. But you can see just the air quality is just tremendously bad. And here, the Walt Disney Studios.
Here's a comment that I want to bring up. Theme Park Wizard, and thank you, Theme Park Wizard. He's actually featured in that article. That's the Eaton fire, not the Palisades fire, which is definitely a distinction, but also it's frustrating because there are maps that have multiple fires in multiple areas here. Abdelio asked for $2. Are the fires still burning, or is it over? The best indication that I have, and Vash, I'm going to steal this back for just a second here.
Please.
According to CNN, the fires are still raging here. Now, of course, this is a night photograph over here, but they're doing press conferences here in the morning as of 11 minutes ago. Latest updates on the wildfires raging in the area and the ongoing recovery efforts. And they have a long list of people who are speaking. Unfortunately, Karen Bass is among them as little good as that is going to do. And the less said about that from me, the better. Vash, here you go.
Yep, absolutely. This is the Runyon Canyon or Sunset Fire. This is where it kind of broke out right here, far removed from the Palisades, as I was talking about before. The Palisades being, I don't know, like I said, about 20 miles or so west of this area right here, and then the Eaton fires beyond that. But the Runyon Canyon or Hollywood Hills fire was particularly bad because in the south you have Hollywood Boulevard with all those iconic structures, and then to the north, about a mile away, that's where you have Universal Studios Hollywood. Beyond that, you have Warner Brothers, and beyond that, you have the Walt Disney Studios. So the worry was if this thing travels north, crosses the 101, you're in some, that could be really, really devastating, along with the homes and so forth that are in this area. And I believe we did lose a couple of structures due to this fire. This one in particular seems to have, it could have been far worse. The Hollywood Bowl is right next door and so forth. So there was a real concern for this one. The Palisades, like I was saying before, that was more west, and the destruction there is absolutely unimaginable.
Okay. And we can talk all day long. We can talk all year long about problems at theme parks and things we're excited about at theme parks. And, they need to fix this. They need to do this and they need to do that. But this is a real problem. This is being described as an apocalyptic setting. And I think that's an accurate word here. Culture, Vash, do you have anything that you want to throw in here before we move on?
I feel bad for everybody that's in the situation that that were largely placed upon them by lots of circumstances that were beyond their control, and a few that were. The volume of structures that were lost during the course of these fires is absolutely, it's indescribable. Outside of like a large, explosive device going off in a given area, I can't even fathom the number of just homes that were lost. I think over 2,000, if I'm not mistaken. And it's devastating to everybody in that situation, but I don't know what you do. You can't do much. You've got, the ridiculous winds that they're dealing with, which happens sometimes in California. And I can't remember the last time you saw anything this bad. I think 83. And so, so it's bad. Structures that I love and remember and think of fondly, gone. In entire blocks, neighborhoods, as you mentioned. So my prayers are with everybody. You can't even possibly imagine how much I feel for you. And I also feel for the rest of the people in California, because you just lost a ton of history, a lot of it.
Yeah. It makes me thankful for some of the digital preservation efforts that have been out there, but I'm sad for the people that the things that they held on to for so long and thought would be there are gone now. I've been through tragedies, but never a massive fire like this. It was flood, but it's a completely different animal. Before we move on here, there's a couple of comments that I want to bring up. First of all, knee pain. I hope you're doing all right out there.
Hope so.
I went through the Hennessy fire in 2020. It's a traumatic experience, even if you don't lose your house.
Well, the stress, just the concern, worry, anxiety, all those other things that we associate with that stress. I can't even imagine dealing with that. That's terrible.
And I hope that you're safe out there, knee pain, and I hope that your family is safe out there. Ruby Hoove for $2 more here. Prayers for all dealing with the California fires. Wow. Amen to that. Let's see here. Alex G, also keep the firefighters in your prayers. They're putting their lives on the line. Agreed.
Yeah. Especially with those winds.
Yeah. Under-resourced and understaffed as well. They're really putting it all out there.
And Pro suggested on Twitter that the Army should be sent in to help. And I think that's a fair point right there. This is a national emergency, and we're lacking a strong national leader at this point that's able to comment on it. He's been there to comment on it, but
you also are lacking a strong leader in the state, somebody who people believe can get things done at this point. Not to mention just the city and everything else. Los Angeles has suffered a huge loss. I'm going to place it on the back of the people that are responsible for making sure these types of events don't occur, or at least be able to have a plan in place to mitigate the extent of the damage.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't.
The
state of California is lacking in a lot of ways, and it's not lacking in good people. because I know a lot of good people in
I
California.
agree. I agree. No one deserves this.